right. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. We are back. Continuing on with our look at the triennial Torah portion. We had a few days off from our cycle here, and instead of skipping over or whatever, we just picked up where we left off. The cycle is the cycle kind of passed us by at this point, but we're we're just gonna keep on going with where we left off, which is in Numbers chapter 16. Actually, we'll be looking at 16 and 17. Numbers 16 and 17. And we'll be dealing with Korach's rebellion. The rebellion of Korach. Okay? So I think that we'll just go ahead and read. We'll go ahead and just read the whole chapter. And then we'll just go back and go over some key points. So let me go ahead and pull up the chapter. We'll go ahead and go from there. Let's see here. All right. If you can go ahead and read, starting with verse 1.
And Korah, son of Yitzhar, son of Kehath, son of Levi, took both Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and On, son of Peleth, sons of Reuben, and they rose up before Moshe with some of the children of Israel, 250 leaders of the congregation, called ones of the meeting, men of name. And they assembled against Moshe and against Aaron, and said to them, Enough of you, for all the congregation is set apart, all of them, and Yahweh is in their midst. Why then do you lift up yourselves above the assembly of Yahweh? And when Moshe heard, he fell on his face, and spoke to Korah and all his company, saying, Tomorrow morning Yahweh shall make known who is his and who is set apart, and bring him near to him, and let him bring near to him the one whom he chooses. Do this, take fire holders, Korah and all your company, and put fire in them, and put incense in them before Yahweh tomorrow. And it shall be that the one whom Yahweh chooses is the set apart one. Enough of you, sons of Levi. And Moshe said to Korah, Hear now, you sons of Levi. Is it little to you that the Elohim of Israel has separated you from the congregation of Israel to bring you near to himself, to perform the service of the dwelling place of Yahweh, and to stand before the congregation to serve them? And that he has brought you near to himself, you and all your brothers, the sons of Levi with you, yet you seek the priesthood as well? Therefore you and all your company are set against Yahweh. And Aaron, what is he that you grumble against him? And Moshe sent to call Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, but they said, "We are not coming up. It is little, is it little that you have brought us up out of the land flowing with milk and honey to kill us in the wilderness, that you would also seize total rule over us? Also, you have not brought us into a land with flowing with milk and honey, nor given us inheritance of fields and vineyards. Would you bore out the eyes of these men? We are not coming up." And Moshe became very displeased and said to Yahweh, "Do not respect their offering. I have not taken one donkey from them, nor have I done harm to any of them." Then Moshe said to Korah, "Tomorrow you and all your company shall be there before Yahweh, you and they and Aaron, and take each one his fire holder, and you shall put incense in it, and let each one bring his fire holder before Yahweh, 250 fire holders, and you and Aaron, each one with his fire holder." So each one took his fire holder and put fire in it, and laid incense on it, and stood at the door of the tent of appointment with Aaron and with Moshe and Aaron. And Korah assembled all the congregation against them at the door of the tent of appointment. Then the esteem of Yahweh appeared to all the congregation, and Yahweh spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, saying, "Separate yourselves from the midst of this congregation, and let me consume them in a moment." But they fell on their faces and said, "O Elohim of the spirits of all flesh, when one man sins, are you wroth with all the congregation?" And Yahweh said to Moshe, saying, "Speak to the congregation, saying, move away from around the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram." So Moshe rose up and went to Dathan and Abiram and the elders of Israel and followed him. And he spoke to the congregation, saying, "Please turn away from the tents of these wrong men. Do not touch whatever belongs to them, lest you be consumed in all their sins." Then they moved away from around the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. And Dathan and Abiram came out and stood at the door of their tents, with their wives and their sons and their little children. And Moshe said, "By this you know that Yahweh has sent me to do all these works, that they are not from my own heart. If these die as all men do, or if they are visited as all men are visited, then Yahweh has not sent me. But if Yahweh creates what is unheard of, and the earth opens his mouth and swallows them up with all that belongs to them, and they go down alive into Sheol, then you shall know that these men have scorned Yahweh." And it came to be, as he ended speaking all these words, that the ground under them split apart, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up, with their households, and all the men with Korah, with all their goods. So they and all those with them went down alive into Sheol, and the earth closed over them, and they perished from the midst of the assembly. And all Israel who were round about them fled at their cry, for they said, "Lest the earth swallow us up." And a fire came out from Yahweh and consumed the 250 men who were offering incense. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, "Say to Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest, to pick up the fire holders out of the blaze, for they are set apart, and scatter the fire from some distance away. The fire holders of these men who sinned against their own lives, let them be made into beaten plates as a covering of the slaughter place, because they brought them before Yahweh, therefore they are set apart. And let them become a sign to the children of Israel." And Eleazar the priest took the bronze fire holders, which those who were burned up had brought, and they were beaten out as a covering on the slaughter place, a remembrance to the children of Israel, that no stranger who is not of the seed of Aaron should come near to offer incense before Yahweh, and not be like Korah and his company. And Yahweh had said to him through Moshe. But all the congregation of the children of Israel grumbled against Moshe and against Aaron on the next day, saying, You have killed the people of Yahweh. And it came to be, when the congregation assembled against Moshe and against Aaron, that they turned toward the tent of appointment, and see, the cloud covered it, and the esteem of Yahweh appeared. And Moshe and Aaron came before the tent of appointment, and Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Arise from amidst this congregation, and let me consume them in a moment. And they fell on their faces. So Moshe said to Aaron, Take the fire holder, and put fire in it from the slaughter place, and lay incense on, and go. Hurry to the congregation, and make atonement for them. For wrath has gone out from Yahweh, the plague has begun. And Aaron took it as Moshe commanded, and ran into the midst of the assembly, and saw that the plague had begun among the people. And he laid the incense and made atonement for the people, and stood between the dead and the living, and the plague was stopped. And those who died in the plague were 14,700, besides those who died on account of Korah. Then Aaron returned to Moshe at the door of attendment, for the plague had stopped.
Okay, all right, very good. All right, let's go back. There's a lot that we see over here. So, first of all, we look at the story of the rebellion of Korach. It's very interesting account. When we think about these different divisions, or the portions, the different Torah portions that we have, traditionally, you wouldn't name these portions after wicked people. Also, you wouldn't name like your children after wicked people, right? But we see over here that there's at least two instances where we have Torah portions that are named after what is completely safe to call these people wicked. One we'll see probably in a few weeks, and the other, Korah, who is perfectly safe to call Korach wicked, despite the fact that we could say potentially his essential desire and motivation could have been regarded as pure, right? We could say that his desire was to be close to the Most High, right? We could say that he felt as though, since he, as well as the rest of Israel, had, they heard the voice of the Most High too, right? So why wasn't he able to go and do the things that Moses did, right? He was at the foot of the mountain, just like the rest of the people was, why wasn't he able to go into the sanctuary? Korach, as a Levite, he wasn't satisfied with his position and wanted to be closer to the Most High. Like, you could make that argument, right? He, because of who he was, or because of who he wasn't, he was bound to the tent of meeting and could lawfully go no further, right? And so so Korach again was a Levite, so he had duties of his own that he was responsible for within the tabernacle. He was definitely a part of the worship experience. But Yahweh is a Elohim of order. And he says who is to perform what service in the tabernacle. So despite the fact that Korah desired to be, as he thought it, to be closer to the Most High, and offer sacrifices unto him in a more intimate way, his offering was rejected and they were all swallowed up in the ground. Okay, and so when we think about what went on over here, they weren't speaking against Moses, right? His issue could not have been with Moses, because the Most High is the one who appointed him, right? He started out with a lie. Korach did. He says, if we go back up here, let's go back up here. He said in verse 3, why then do you lift up yourself above the assembly of Yahweh? That's a lie, because he never lifted up himself. In fact, if we go back and look at what actually happened back in Exodus, let's go back. The people did it. The people said they needed a mouthpiece. Moses didn't say it.
Moses wasn't even trying to be a mouthpiece.
He was never trying to be a mouthpiece. He didn't want to even go before Pharaoh. Most High had to almost beg him to do it, and gave him an out with his brother Aaron to be able to speak. But if we go back over here start reading that verse 18 right there.
And all the people saw the thunders and lightning flashes, the voice of the shofar and the mountain smoking. And the people saw it, and they trembled and stood at a distance, and said to Moshe, you speak with us, and we hear, but let not Elohim speak with us, lest we die. And Moshe said to the people, do not fear, for Elohim has come to prove you, and in order that his fear be before you, so that you do not sin. Keep going.
And 21.
So the people stood at a distance, but Moshe drew near the thick darkness where Elohim was.
Okay, very good. So the people was the ones who said, you be the go-between. You be the one that go between the Most High and us. We don't want to have to hear the voice of the shofar and the mountain smoking, right? And the thunderings and the lightning flashes.
Yeah.
Right? That is just too much for us to bear. That's what the people said.
Mm-hmm.
It said all the people. Coal. What's that say right there? Hold on. All the people, it said. Hold on. I mean, I know this is just hyperbole, but it literally says all the people, the whole people. Right? Everybody said, you speak for us. Okay, so if we go back over here to Numbers and 16 and verse 3, this over here, this is a lie. Over here. This is a lie. Like, Moses didn't appoint himself to anything. Right?
Mm-hmm.
He said, why then do you lift up yourself above the assembly? Nobody did that. Okay? But let's look at these things. Let's look at these people for a minute here. These ones here who they name, right?
They put their names out.
They put their names there. What they put them out here for? Korach, who was a Levite. Dathan, Abiram, and Un.
Oh.
Is that Un or On? Let me see what they got over there. Let me see this. Verse 1. On.
Oh.
Okay. So, first of all, when you think about the Levites, right? Well, let's just deal with first with Korah. Korah, who was indeed a Levite. Interestingly enough, when we look, the Levites actually take the place of the firstborn. Right? So in regards to Korah and the fact that he potentially was in fact a firstborn. Here, let's look it back and see. Let's look at Exodus 6 and 21. Exodus 6. 6 and 21. What's that say right there?
And the sons of Yitzhar, Korah, and Nepheg, and Zikri.
Okay, now Korah very well could have been a firstborn based on how they have the ordering of the children, right? So he is Levite, but there was a special significance for the firstborn that was actually taken, right? He actually is someone who benefits, perhaps, because of the fact that he is a Levite, right? And the Levites took the place of the firstborn. But I guess there's something that's taken away and there's something that's given, and he had more care or thought for potentially what was taken away, more so than what was given. So it's easy. It would be easy, I would say, for Korach to potentially gather up 250 other firstborns and say, these Levites, even though he was a Levite, these Levites sat up here and just moved us out of the way. I'm saying this potentially could be the catalyst for what we must call foolishness. But there's a bit of logic there, nonetheless. Okay, so if we go back over to Numbers 16. So Korach, again, being this firstborn, has a gripe, potentially. And so also we have the Dathan, Abiram, and On, who are the sons of Reuben. Now Reuben is the firstborn tribe, right? So Reuben, being the firstborn tribe, also has a gripe, right? Because Reuben himself, being the firstborn, he's moved to the side as a firstborn and kind of replaced with his younger brother, Joseph, who gets a double portion. He gets a double addition to the lineage, while Reuben, being the firstborn, there's nothing even good to even said about Reuben necessarily. And so you have this potential for there to be, in these people's carnality, you have a potential for there to be this gripe with the status quo, because of the various shifts that have taken place. And so again, when we look over here at these men that are named, although, as it says, there's 250 leaders, again, they name these four actors: Korach, Dathan, Abiram, and On. And it's just interesting that they're, you're able to, without much thought, to be able to see a potential reasons for them to have issue with what's going on. And so again, when we drop down to verse 3, they talks about the fact he goes and says, "Enough of you. We're all holy. We're all set apart."
That was crazy, man.
Right? All of the congregation is set apart. All of us.
Cool.
And Yahweh is in their midst.
Mm-hmm.
Why then, and then he has this little false accusation, why then do you lift up yourselves above the assembly? First of all, who told him that? Who told him that? Who told him that Moses went too far? What message is he delivering? And was the criteria for the leading of the people, was it being holy? Like he said it like we all fit the criteria. So they made it up, right? The whole people is holy, but that's true. But what's that got to do with who Moses and Aaron are, and how they got to be where they are in terms of their position in the nation? Like his whole gripe is unfounded, it's baseless, and it's unfounded, right? he's not acting. He, unlike Moses, is not acting based on what the Most High has said.
Yeah.
When we sit up here and read what Moses says, for the most part, he's saying what the Most High has said. And so the Most High is literally talking to Moses. And then Moses is coming back and saying what the Most High has said. And so there's a big difference between that and what we see going on over here with Korah. And so I thought this was interesting when you go down, right, to verse 4. Let's see, verse 4, where now Moses heard this, what had happened, and then now he's grieved, right? Maybe not even because of the fact that he wants to be the boss per se, or anything like that, but understanding what it is that's going on with Korach and what he's doing. Again, he's not speaking against Moses because Moses is not self-appointed. He's speaking against the Most High because the Most High is the one who actually deals with Moses, who called him out into the burning bush and said that he was going to be the one to lead his people. And so when we talk about the fact that, and then it's exemplary of who Moses is when we see the transgressions of the people, and his response is despair. His response is pity and sorrow for what is going to come. But I thought it was interesting that when we go into verse 5 and 6 down through 7, and so the question of authority is raised, and then the next thing that happens is Moses gives instructions. To me, that's funny because it's like they're questioning his authority, and then his answer to the question of their authority is here's these things that we'll do to get to the bottom of it.
If it was today, they'd be like, "I'm not listening to you."
Well, that's what Dathan and them says, right? Dathan and them, to me, I thought that was funny because Dathan and them, whenever it gets down to what they say we're not doing that. Hold on, let me see where they're. That to me makes sense because they're going up against his authority. So the next thing that he does is bring these instructions for them. Here, let me see where it's at. Hold on.
Oh man, these are our people. You know that is true.
Oh, verse here read 10, 11, and 12 right there.
And that he has brought you near to himself, you and all your brothers, the son of Levi, with you, yet you seek the priesthood as well. Therefore you and all your company are set against Yahweh and Aaron. What is he that you grumble against him? And Moshe sent to call Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, but they said, we are not coming up.
And look, he says, look, they sent for him like, okay, y'all come up here. I gotta talk to you about this. And they say, no, we ain't coming. We not coming up there. Which makes sense. This whole thing don't make any sense for the most part, because you got these people who are questioning the authority of Moses. And then Moses comes up with all of these instructions for the people to see if he is indeed the leader or not. These ones at least sit up here and say, no, we're not going along with this.
That's right.
That makes sense. I mean, even though what they doing don't make sense, it makes sense with their logic of their bucking against his authority. Right? For the rest of them, he has these elaborate instructions. Get your fire pans and fill it with fire and put ashes in it and then put incense in it and see whose is accepted. Right? He comes up with this whole big, long thing. If you're questioning what it is that he's, his authority, you can't listen to him.
I'm not doing that.
So, again, when I look over at this part of it, it makes me laugh because it makes sense. Because these people are, that's the foundation of their gripe, is this whole thing with them being in opposition to the authority that Moses here exhibits. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, so let's look at some of this stuff over here. If we go back up, let's look up at let's see here. Verse number 9. I'm gonna go back up to verse 9. Read for us again 9 and 10.
Is it little to you that the Elohim of Israel has separated you from the congregation of Israel to bring you near to himself, to perform the service of the dwelling place of Yahweh, and to stand before the congregation to serve them? And that he has brought you near to himself, you and all your brothers, the son of Levi with you, yet you seek the priesthood as well?
Okay, very good. So we see over here where, Moshe is bringing out, this pretty important fact that, if we were to say that Korah was, had some issues with the whole firstborn thing, again, he benefits by way of being a Levite, and, he had a service to perform in the dwelling place, right? It was his task as a Levite to still perform duties that only him and his tribe members were able to perform. These things that were potentially coveted positions. But the thing that the Most High had called for him to be doing, as per his birthright, he rejected, and he wanted something else. Mm-hmm. And so, again, when we talk about his issues, we talk about the issue that he actually had. Again, his issue was with the Most High and what it was that the Almighty had assigned him to be doing. When we think about this, this thought, in general, you know, people going against what it is that the Most High has decreed. You know, we see the epitome of this in our current culture, you know, with this whole gender thing. You know, the Most High decreed for you to be a male or a female, and you say, I don't want to be that. I want to be something else. The doctor don't have the right to determine what I am. And so when we think about the idea of the fact that the Most High indeed does require us to perform, you know, duties that are associated with, you know, blessings, we'll call them blessings, that He has blessed us with. And, you know, we're rejecting the blessings and the appointments of the Most High. Right? And so this is a very serious offense. Right? Again, because we're talking about going against what it is that the Almighty has said is going to be. What we have over here, this portion should really make people realize obedience is required. Obedience is indeed a requirement when it comes to you know, anything that deals with the Most High. And so when we look over here with what Korah is doing, of course, again, this is the antithesis of that, right? Because everything that they're saying that Moses is doing is only what the Most High said for Moses to say. And so at the end of the day, is what the Most High said, and you're going against what He said, right? People talk about, you know, I hate when people talk about the law of Moses as if the law of Moses is something that Moses made up. Right? It's almost as if people are, in the fact that they're terming it this, they're making it be something that you're able to take it or leave it because Moses is the one whose law it is, right? But that's the same thought process as what we see over here, because if these people got a problem with things that Moses is doing, he's only doing what it is that the Most High said for him to be doing. Right? And so when we think about this idea of turning away from what is known as the law of Moses, and call it that, as if you're giving yourself an out because it's Moses' law, it's the Most High's law that He told Moses to tell you about. When you think about this whole idea, it's almost as if there's this spirit of rebellion in people whenever they even want to even think about the law of Moses in that way. These people are reliving Korah's rebellion when they speak about the law of Moses in that way, again, as if it's this thing that we're able to diminish or think less of because it's, you know, connected with what Moses said. And meanwhile, again, these are actually the words of the Most High. And so even if we say that this whole thing that Moses says to the people in terms of the, let's see who offering he's going to accept. When he accepts it, he validates Moses. If Moses comes up with that whole thing and the people go and do it, and then he accepts Moses, then he validates his authority. But even still, when we went through, when we looked at this and we saw what had happened, they went through the thing. The Most High chose who he chose, and then the people are still mad at Moses after the fact.
Still mad.
Still mad. As if he's the one who initiated all of these things over here. Okay, so let's go over here. Let's see, verse 11. Read verse 11 right there. That's what we said already, but it says it in the scripts. What did I say, verse 11?
Therefore you and all your company are set against Yahweh, and Aaron, what is he that you grumble against him?
It said, all you people are set against Yahweh. It's clear right there. You not going against Moses, because Moses isn't the one who came up with all of this stuff. You coming against the Most High. You coming against the Almighty Yah. And so let's look at 12 real quick. Read verse 12.
And Moshe,
hold on, 12 and 13.
And Moshe sent to call Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, but they said, we are not coming up.
We're not coming up. We're not paying you no attention. What verse 13?
Is it little that you have brought us up out of a land flowing with milk and honey to kill us in the wilderness, that you would also seize total rule over us?
Okay, this right here is blasphemous. Verse 13 is blasphemous. When we refer to the promised land, we think of the promised land as the land that's flowing with milk and honey. The promised land is the place that flows with milk and honey. They're talking about coming out of the land flowing with milk and honey. They're referring to Mizraim. They're referring to the place where we were in bondage and saying that place was the land flowing with milk and honey, and then you brought us out of that place to kill us in the wilderness.
You people are crazy. I mean, it's the same now. People act the same exact way.
Yes.
They didn't change.
No. This don't make any sense. Like, they're literally referring to the place of bondage as the land of milk and honey, flowing with milk and honey. Them people did not experience, if you was going to say that Mizraim was indeed a land flowing with milk and honey, they didn't experience it.
It was slaves.
They didn't experience the milk, nor did they experience the honey in Mizraim. And so again, these words that are being spoken by these people are blasphemous words against the Most High. Because we know that the Most High brought Israel out of Egypt to save the people, to deliver the people. And so to say this, what are you saying? it was better there. We was better off there. What you did was pointless. We didn't even need for you to do it. This ungrateful people got all this to say about something that the Most High is supposed to have been doing for the good of the people. And here you have these ones who basically are defaming the actions of the Most High. These are all things that are just worthy of death.
Yep.
Right? These are terrible things that these people are doing towards the Most High. Terrible. All right, so let's go down a little bit here, because when we look at this, and we see that, you know, this thing that this initial act that was, you know, probably led by Korah and a group of these distinguished leaders. They spread doubt. Throughout the congregation. And, you know, just thinking about the idea of causing others to sin. I always wanted to think about that idea for a minute. Let's look over at Malachi 2. Malachi chapter 2. Read verses 1 down through verse 9.
And now, O priests, this command is for you. If you do not hear, and if you do not take it to heart, to give esteem to my name, said Yahweh of hosts, I shall send a curse upon you, and I shall curse your blessings, and indeed I have cursed them, because you do not take it to heart. See, I shall rebuke your seed and scatter dung before your faces, the dung of your festivals, and you shall be taken away with it. And you shall know that I have sent this command to you as being my covenant with Levi, said Yahweh of hosts. My covenant with him was life and peace, and I gave them to him to fear, and he feared me and stood in awe of my name. The Torah of truth was in his mouth, and unrighteousness was not found on his lips. He walked with me in peace and straightness, and turned many away from the crookedness. For the lips of a priest should guard knowledge, and they seek the truth from his mouth, for he is the messenger of Yahweh of hosts. But you have turned from the way, you have caused many to stumble in the Torah. You have corrupted the covenant of Levi, said to Yahweh of hosts, and I shall make you despised and low before all the people, because you are not guarding my ways and are not showing partiality. Are showing partiality in the Torah.
Okay, very good. So we see over here, and we look over here at what it is that the priests was supposed to be doing, what the Levites were supposed to be doing. Right in verse 7, the lips of the priest should guard knowledge, and they seek the Torah from his mouth, for he, the priest, is the messenger of Yahweh of hosts. But you, it said, have turned from the way and have caused many to stumble. They did the exact opposite of what it was that they were supposed to have been doing.
Yep.
The whole point of these priests and these Levites and these people dedicated unto the Most High are to actually guard knowledge and seek the Torah from their lips, and to speak that which says the Most High. But instead, these people were going against their call. They were going against their purpose, their going against their purpose that the Most High had given to them, and causing the people to stumble. And so, thinking back to Korah, again, it makes it impossible for us to think about him in a way that that there's any light associated with it, because everything that he's doing is self-centered. It has nothing to do with the Torah and what it is that thus says the Most High. It goes all the way against what the Almighty has ever said, and it's only a picture of disobedience and rebellion. And so we could never look at Korah in any way other than as being this rebel, because the things that he's doing is against the Most High. We're able to know, Yeshua says to us, we're able to know a tree by its fruit.
Yep.
I can say to you all day until I'm blue in the face that I'm a servant of the Most High. But what am I doing? What are my actions showing? That's how you know. Either I'm manifesting the character of the Most High, or I'm a lie. That's bars. Okay, so let's keep on going. Let's look at Proverbs 4. Because it's impossible. It's impossible for me to say that I am a servant of the Most High, and I am causing people to walk in sin. These two things are incongruent with one another. Proverbs 4, begin reading at verse 14 and read down to 17.
Do not enter the path of the wrong, and do not walk in the way of evildoers. Avoid it. Do not pass by it. Turn away from it and pass on. For they do not sleep unless they have done evil, and their sleep is taken away unless they make someone fall. For they have eaten the bread of the wrongdoing, and they drank the wine of violence.
This is the way of the wicked. They can't wait to do wickedness.
Mm-hmm.
It said, for they do not sleep unless they have done evil. That's what they want to be doing. Their sleep is taken away unless they make someone fall, it says over here. These people, wicked people, they always sitting up here trying to get people to do wickedness with them.
Yep.
That's what we just got finished looking at with Korach and them. Like, he wasn't able to just go by himself and say, look, Moses, I'm tired of your mess. You ain't who you say you is. I should be doing what you is doing up in here. But he had to go and get other people to come and do it with him. He couldn't just do his dirty by his lonely, by his own self. He had to go get people to do the wickedness with him. But that's described over here as the actions of the wicked. That's the things that they do. They sit up here and figure out not only how they're able to to do wickedness, but also how they're able to also promote this wickedness as well.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
I would say this is why it's important to cut off that rebellion or that rebellious spirit or that rebellious person fast. Because all they're going to do is naysay to everybody and lead people into, it's like I always say it's like a tuning fork. Once you get that rebellious vibration, it just, whatever rebellious spirits are in the people, it just vibrates and reverberates through those people too. Same pitch. And then everybody starts complaining. They might even be complaining about the same thing. They gonna start complaining about something else. And then it's just like you got all this chaos and division over someone who's stepping out and trying to, take control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is what wicked people do. Wicked people move in that way.
Like, they had to have some kind of meetings amongst themselves to decide.
It seems like it. Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. When wicked people want to sit up here and do wickedness, they can't sleep unless they causing other people to do wickedness. That's what we just looked at. So potentially in their wickedness, they could have potentially came together and thought up a plan. They could have done that. But wickedness also likes the perpetuation of wickedness. So as soon as I see it, I'm going to step right into the wickedness too. Like, if I'm wicked. Because I love to do wickedness. So if I happen to see some wickedness going on, then I'm just going to jump right into it. So it really could have been either way. It could have been that they sat around and had a wicked meeting about the wickedness that they was going to do. Or the wickedness, whenever the wickedness seen some other wickedness, it just joined itself to that. But at the end of the day, the point that we seeing over here is that they only doing what wicked people do. Right? And so we can't look at Korach. We can't look at Nadab and Abihu. We can't look at these people who the thing that they're saying is what they're trying to do in terms of moving closer, wanting to be closer to the Most High. If they're doing these things in a disobedient way that's contrary to the will and the ways of the Most High, then it's impossible for them to be moving according to the Most High. In fact, what we're able to see that they are in fact doing is operating in perfect wickedness. What's Psalms 104, 1 through 4 say?
It says, "Rescue me, O Yahweh, from men of evil. Preserve me from men of violence, who have devised evils in their hearts. They stir up conflicts all day long. They sharpen their tongues like a snake. The poison of cobras is under their lips." Selah. "Guard me, O Yahweh, from the hands of the wrong. Guard me from a man of violence who has schemed to trip up my steps."
If I'm righteous, I'm staying away from wickedness. I'm saying, guard me, O Yah, from the hands of the wicked. Keep me away from them. Keep me away from them. Keep them away from me. Guard me from them, and guard me from all the things that they doing. And by the way, they scheming to do things. They got schemes to trip up steps. They out here sharpening their forked tongues. They sharpening them. They getting they poison extra potent under their lips, and they can't wait to spit they poison out like cobras. They can't wait to do it. All they do all day is just stir up conflict. So it's a difference, right? The wicked people, they can't wait to do wickedness. They worrying about their wickedness and their evilness all day. And they trying to do their things all day and get people to do it with them. But the righteous is doing the complete opposite of that.
Yep, that's right.
They're saying, nah, man, I get that away from me. I don't want to guard me from that. I know they over there working. I know they working, but because they working, guard me from it. What this person said. Keep me away from wicked music, videos, etc. Incredible what happens when you exclude an evil world from the access. This, when you think about how these wicked people out here devising these plans against us, the righteous, they got it so at every turn, there's some tasty evil for you to partake of at every turn. I sat up there just the other day. Was looking through Apple Music and just was trying to just find just a random anything just to put on. But guess what? You can't just put any old random anything on because it's wicked. You have to intentionally find something that's not wicked if you want to just listen to some music. Because these wicked people got so much filth out here when they just all day just stir up conflicts all day long, like it says over there. And so again, when we think about the idea of Korach and his gripe, this whole nation is holy. We all heard the voice of the Most High at the foot of the mountain.
They got scared.
They did. He forgot.
You forgot what happened. What happened next?
Those things that he did wasn't being. That's not what being zealous for the Torah looks like.
Mm-hmm.
That thing that he did, that's actually what wickedness looks like. Because the thing that he was doing did not correspond with righteousness. Yeah. It did not correspond with the character of the Most High. It corresponded with the absence of the Most High. Because the Most High is about order. The Most High is about order. Let's look over at a Genesis Bereshit. Read for us verse 2.
And the earth came to be, formless and empty, and darkness was on the face of the deep, and the spirit of Elohim was moving on the face of the waters.
And then verse 3 also.
And Elohim said, "Let light come to be," and light came to be.
Okay, very good. So when we look over here at the way that the Most High interacts, the way that He interacted in creation. Oh yes. Even in children's video games, it's crazy. It is indeed crazy. There's wickedness all over the place. Okay, and so when we look at the way that the Most High moves, right? The earth was formless and empty. It says it was let's see what those words is over there. It was tohu vabohu.
Tovu.
It was formless and empty. It was chaotic. It was without shape. Okay? Let's see here. Oh, where's my cursor? It was without form. It was tohu. It was lying waste. It was desolation. Right? It was a desert. It was a worthless thing. It was vain. It was confusion. It was empty. It was without form. It was nothing. It was not. It was waste. It was wilderness. It was tohu. It was bohu. It was empty. It was ruined. It was emptiness. It was void. And so the Most High, as He moves across this emptiness, He brings order to disorder. What we see the Most High begin to do throughout the remainder of this chapter is to bring order to chaos. And so when we think about the way that the Most High moves, He don't bring chaos to order. He brings order to chaos. He removes chaos and He puts order there. And so again, when we think about Korach and what he was doing, everything was already set up in terms of what it is that the Most High wanted for His people to be doing, how He wanted for His whole worship to be done, sacrifices and the like, who He wanted to do what, all the way down to, as they moved, who was going to pick up what and carry what throughout the wilderness. And so order had already been established. And so when we think about what it was that Korach and these people who followed after him was doing, they weren't bringing order to chaos. They was bringing chaos to already existing order. And so again, there's no way that we're able to look at what they've done and there be any light in it, because the Most High is about order. So if you're doing things that are going along with his character, you're going to be doing that also. Here, let's look at some more of these verses over here. Let's see here. Let's pull up popular. Let's look at wisdom. Read for us verse 1.
Wisdom reacheth from one end to another mightily, and sweetly doth she order all things.
Wisdom orders all things. Wisdom brings order to all things. And so again, we're easily able to decipher what is of the Most High and what is not.
Yep.
When things correspond with the character of the Almighty, then we can say, yes, that's from the Most High. It's easy for us to be able to see it. But it's equally easy for us to see those things which are not connected to the Most High because they don't correspond with his character. Okay? And so when we have these people out here who say that they are this and they say that they are that, and yet the things that they are doing don't correspond with the Almighty and his will and his ways, then we're able to easily discount those people and those things that they say. Easily. These people sit up here and say that they are prophets and prophetesses. Meanwhile, all they do is create chaos. But his apostle said to these early congregations over at read verse 40 right there.
Let all things be done decently and in order.
Decently and in order. Okay, that's how the Most High moves. Not in chaos, right? Decently and in order. All right, so let's keep on going over here. Let's look over. Okay, let's look over here at, let's go to chapter 17. Let's go back to Numbers. Because we see, when we look back at 16 and we see they went through all of the things, they, the Most High, through Moses, had for them to, bring forth their fire and their fire pans with the incense and all of the things. And then, yet and still, here, just read again. Or just read again. Start reading again at verse 47 there to the bottom.
And Aaron took as many as Moses commanded.
Hold on.
And Aaron took as Moses commanded, and ran into the midst of the congregation, and behold, the plague was begun among the people. And he put on incense and made an atonement for the people. And he stood between the dead and the living, and the plague was stayed. Now they that died in the plague were 14,700. Beside them that died about the manner of Korah. And Aaron returned to Moses unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the plague was stayed.
Okay, so when we look at the thing that Korah instigates. When we look at the thing that he brings about, he brings about disorder and chaos and, in fact, death and plagues against the people. Moses, he stands in the gap for the people. He wants for the people to only be walking in righteousness, but yet the people, are unable to do this because they're following after their carnal minds. Let's go ahead and read verse 17 as we continue and see how this thing finishes off.
And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and take from them a rod from each father's house, all their leaders according to their father's houses, 12 rods. Write each one's name on his rod, and write Aaron's name on the rod of Levi, for there is one rod for the head of each father's house. You shall then place them in the tent of appointment before the witness where I meet with you. And it shall be that the rod of the man whom I choose buds, and I shall rid myself of the grumblings of the children of Israel, which they grumble against you. And Moshe spoke to the children of Israel, and all their leaders gave him a rod each, for each leader according to their father's houses, 12 rods, and the rod of Aaron was among their rods. So Moshe placed the rods before Yahweh in the tent of the witness. And it came to be on the next day that Moshe went into the tent of the witness and saw that the rod of Aaron of the house of Levi had budded and brought forth buds and blossomed and bore ripe almonds. And Moshe brought out all the rods from before Yahweh to all the children of Israel, and they looked, and each man took his rod. And Yahweh said to Moshe, Bring Aaron's rod back before the witness, to be kept as a sign against the rebels, so that you put an end to their grumblings against me, lest they die. And Moshe did as Yahweh had commanded him, so he did. And the children of Israel spoke to Moshe, saying, See, we shall die, we shall perish, we shall perish. Anyone who comes near the dwelling place of Yahweh dies. Shall we be consumed to die?
Very good. Okay, so when we look over here at this thing that goes on with the budding of Aaron's rod, we see that not only do we see from verse chapter 16 that Moshe was indeed the one that the Most High has chosen, but then also we see that Aaron also is the one that the Most High has chosen. They bring forth their rods, and when you think about these rods that these people carried, first of all, if you take a stick, and you use it as a rod, is far removed. The stick is far removed from life. When you take a stick and you use that stick as a rod, is very far removed from life. And so when we think about, here, let's look at this thing over here. Let me see this thing. This stick that I have here, this staff, my rod that I have here, is something that before I was able to do anything with this rod, it probably sat for a year at least, to dry out, to even just to dry out, and for all of the moisture to be removed from it, right? Before I was even able to do anything with it, it sat for probably a year.
We have one in front of the door that's been sitting for a couple of years.
Well, several at this point. I got more down in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
That, you know, these things, they sit and they shrink and they become devoid of water and devoid of any form of life. And they shrink down because of the fact that they lose all of their water and all of their life. And so when we think about this challenge that the Most High did with all of the staffs from the heads of the tribes, I mean, it's one thing to talk about, you know, this dead, dry rod that has been brought forth, but this dead thing that's devoid of water, this dead, devoid of water thing buds. It begins to grow and blossoms and yields fruit overnight. It's a total miracle that happens.
Yep.
Right? It's a total miracle. There's nothing but miraculousness that's connected to this whole situation. Showing that Aaron is indeed the one that he's chosen. But look at what we see with that. This dead thing that's devoid of water comes alive and brings forth fruit. Yeshua said that you know a tree by its fruit, by that which it brings forth. And so all of the things that people might have been able to say were brought to nothing by the Most High, where he clearly shows them who it is that he's chosen, right? These people didn't sit up there and decide for themselves that they were going to do this or that. They were simply following the way that the Most High chose for them. And so, you know, when we sit up here and we look at the way that people, especially in this day and age, the way that these people move, where they want to sit up here and exhibit the spirit of Korach. You know, we're all holy.
We're all the same.
We're all, there's no distinction between you and I. I can have the Ruach HaKodesh just like you have it. But when you speak in those ways, you know, these things are wicked. It's literally wicked. It's not even a neutral. You can't even be neutral on this stance. It's a wicked thing because it's exactly like Korach did. It's the exact same thing. He refused to get into the order that was established by the Most High. And he wanted to come up with his own order, right?
That put him on top.
yeah, puts him on top. But at the same time, it denies what the Most High had already established. And so when we sit up here and we look at, you know, it's a trend. it's a trend in this world that we live in, where people they just want to just do whatever it is that they want to do. They don't want to be connected to anybody. They certainly don't want to be under anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, everyone's the same. You know, we're all holy.
Holy Israel.
We're all set apart, and you know, people just sit up and they do whatever's right in their own eyes. You know, and there's serious problems with that. The first one being is that we don't have any examples of that in the scriptures. Israel is a nation. It's a nation with elders. It's a nation with people who you know, have positions. It's a nation with order, right? When we get to the place, he has jobs. When we get to Yeshua and the things that Yeshua set in order with the disciples, who became the apostles, you know, they sat up there and they formed communities all over the place, communities with order and structure and all of these things, all moving under the power of the Ruach HaKodesh in order. And so when, you know, you run into so many people who have just this spirit of disorder, have this spirit of not wanting to be organized, this spirit of just not wanting to be connected to anyone or held accountable to anyone, or just wanting to just be free and just live their their own lives. I'm saying, what spirit is that? It seems like it's the spirit of Korach and Dathan and Abiram. What's the other one? And On.
Mm-hmm.
That's what spirit that is. And so, you know, we really have to really ask ourselves, you know, what spirit is motivating us in this life when we say that we're following after the Most High. Because the thing that he causes for us to be doing looks a lot different than you know, what these people who are out here saying that they're followers, what they're actually doing. I mean, we got this book right here. The book is here, and is written in plain English for us, where we're able to read it and to know what is right and what's wrong. And so when we begin to sit up here and piece this thing together and look at this whole book from front to back, and then we line up the things that we're doing, or the people that we follow, or the people that we listen to, or the people who we subscribe to on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
when we put all of these things together, we need to be making sure that everything's lines up. And there's a lot of people that's out here who's saying that they this or they that, and the overall upfront message that we're seeing is not something that's congruent with the Most High. And so, you know, when we look at this the rebellion of Korach's rebellion, you know, it really helps us to be able to see a very clear example of the way that the Most High really wants for us to be and to move and to operate. You know, he moves people in the way that he wants for his people to be moving, right? And it's not in isolation. It's not, in this place where you just sit up here and do whatever's right in your own heart or what's right in your own mind. He gives people different talents so that we're all able to receive from one another. One person might be good at one thing where you aren't good at that thing, so you're not able to experience that thing because you only good at what you good at. And so since you have this thing that's your area of expertise, you may got all of that all the way down. But if we lived in the life and the only thing that we need is just one thing to be able to live and get by, that don't make any sense. Just even from a natural perspective. If I sit around and just live my whole life just eating oranges, I don't know, maybe it might keep me alive. But I'm sure I'm going to have some deficiencies because all I eat is oranges.
You'll get vitamin C.
My vitamin C is going to be hot in the mug. But I'm sure that thing is deficient of other things that I need in my life. And so I'm saying if we can think about these things just from a natural perspective, why can't we move that over into a spiritual perspective as well? You don't got all the things. Somebody got something that you need that's the key to your puzzle that you've been missing your whole situation. But pride is going to stop you from getting it every time. And it stopped these people forever. Dead. What was you going to say?
I was going to say, do you think, what do you think if they would have came before Moses privately and asked him a question and been humble about it?
If they was asking questions, it would have been a whole other situation, obviously. I mean, if they was asking questions from a serious place in their heart, it had to have been a different. But he said, I'm done. What he said? He said, you have gone far. You have gone far enough. He said, you have gone far enough. He said. He came in there. He wasn't like, say, Moses, you think that maybe I might be just like you, and maybe I could be the one that's in charge, and not like, why do you think that the Most High picked you and Aaron and not me or Dathan or Abiram or what's the other one? Like if he humbly came to the situation, why wouldn't it be different? Why wouldn't it be different? Of course it would be different. But that's not what happened. He went in there and said, Moses, I'm done with this. I'm done with this. I'm done with everything you got to say. You're not going to sit up here and just, exalt yourself above the assembly anymore.
Or he could have just been like, can I get a promotion or something?
But that's not what he did. No. That's the complete opposite of what he did. And we can see, based on his actions, what his heart was. And so, grab me some water from over there. And so, when we look at people and the way in which they when we look at people, we have to be able to look at the people's motivations and the things that's behind their motivations. And then we're able to rightfully look and discern whether or not these people really are moving the way that the Most High would have for you to be moving. It's easy to say, like we talked about, it's easy to say, Korach, Dathan, Abiram, Nadab, Abihu, any of these people, it's easy to say they just wanted to be closer to the Most High. But there's a way in which you do that. There's a way that leads unto life, and there's a way that leads unto death. And when we do things the way that He has prescribed for us to be doing, we don't have any problems. But when we try to make our own way, there's always problems. He said how it is that we're able to come unto Him. He laid it out, and He's given us a map, and He showed us everything that we need, for righteousness and life. We don't have to sit up here and try to figure these things out, because it's not hidden from us. it's right here in this book that He's given to us. Okay, so do we have any thoughts or questions or comments before we...
I just wanted to say that from my experience, you can't reason with a Korah.
No, because they're coming from a place that's unreasonable. I can't speak to you logically if you're not in the realm of logic. Like, I was just talking to somebody. This guy, he's a funny guy, but it's like everyone knows that Sunday is the first day of the week. You can say what you want to say about how people treat the day. If you want to say that it replaced the Sabbath, okay. But the people who came up with this idea of it replacing the Sabbath never started to call that day the seventh day. They never did that.
They always knew it was the first.
They always knew it was the first day of the week.
Growing up, I didn't.
Well, I don't know why you didn't.
Yeah, they didn't teach that really in school.
All I'm saying is that when we look at it from a historical standpoint, the people that moved it, the Sabbath, who said that this is a special day, we're not going to buy and sell, this is going to be a holy day. Those people never said that it's the seventh day of the week. They always said that it was the first day of the week. Now, it becomes confusing when we get to the place of people not talking about the whys and how it got here, and seeing that you can't go to the liquor store on Sundays, and you can't do this. The stuff is closed down. They treated it like the Sabbath. But the point is that they never said that it was that. And so if I'm coming to a conversation now with somebody about this from a logical standpoint, knowing that no one's ever said, yes, we're going to treat Sunday like the Sabbath day, but no one's ever said that it wasn't the first day of the week. They've always said that. And so if you, it don't matter what you say now, if you're just going off of what it is that you see people doing, it's not based in logic. So I can't talk to you. I can't talk to you because I'm logically thinking about the fact that, okay, it's the 7th day of the week versus the first day of the week. If he said rest on the 7th day, that's when I gotta rest. Forget about what people are doing, why they're doing it, or any of that. And so, saying all that just to say, you can't speak logically with illogical people. You can't be rational with irrational people. You're just not able to. It's just a matter of fact. And so you end up in that place a lot because people, I don't know, they don't think about things logically.
That's why Paul said, y'all figure it out one day.
Maybe.
He was like, he wasn't trying to argue with them.
And that's how it's got to be sometimes. Sometimes you can't talk to everyone because everyone's not ready. Everyone's not ready. You try to be all things to all people, but you can only go so far. You can only go so far with that. Okay, anyone else have any last thoughts or questions or comments? Okay, very good. All right, so that being said, for now, we're going to go ahead and be done. Y'all willing, next week we will return and continue with the Torah portion. We want to remind everyone to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification so that you're aware of all the things that we're doing. I'm going to try to put out a revelation study that I started to begin during the Feast of Tabernacles. And so I got a little head start, so I'm going to go ahead and probably maybe in the middle of the week or sometime like that, put out, begin a study on Revelation. And but you won't know if you don't have the subscribe button and the notification thing hit on the channel. Okay? All right, so that being said, for now, we'll say Shabbat Shalom, and Yah willing, next week we will be back.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.